What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai Anyone here, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm bringing you guys a video on Kamen Rider Geo episodes 10 and 11. Yes, I haven't been able to review Kamen Rider and also Loop Pad for a while. I wanted to do reviews of them, but I've been super busy. I was able to finish off, PR, like Power Rangers, 2 weeks ago, but I wasn't able to do these two shows. So I'm catching up today with this, and then I'll also be releasing later this week episode 12, which will be really good. So let me talk about episodes 10 and 11. I'm going to go briefly over 10. 10 was actually a pretty cool episode. It was the continuation of the episode that focused on X-Aid, on the X-Aid story arc that brought into Don Corito, who is Genom. But in this case, it brought more attention to O's, which was cool. So we got to see Edgy, who actually helped Geo with really understanding what it takes to be a proper king and caring for everyone rather than just caring for yourself and not giving any control to anyone. The episode itself was called hold on one second. The episode itself was cool as well, just based on the title, which was a reference to the basic form of Kamen Rider Geo. So that actually was pretty awesome, because the name of the episode, for those that are curious, was a reference to it, which was Hawk, Tiger, and Grasshopper 2010, which makes sense because Hawk, Tiger, Grasshopper were like the three main bodying pieces of the basic form of O's. And 2010 was the year, obviously, that the season took place. So I actually love it because when you read the Japanese, it's Takto Tora Tobata Nisanju, which is actually like how they say it in the show. Again, if I'm not pronouncing it perfectly, sorry, but again, it's just, I love it. I love the detail from that. I just think it's great. The episode did feature a lot of Don Corito moments, which were great. And we just got to see some really cool moments in general. There was a point where, Gaze tries to go after Geo, but the reason why Geo turned evil was because he wasn't turning evil. It was that he was actually trying to learn from Don Corito, who's a bad leader, how to be, like, what it takes to be bad, so that he knows what he shouldn't be doing. It's a weird situation because in Gaze's mind, he thinks that he's just a bad guy, when in reality, he's actually very strategic with his strategies and planning. So I actually do appreciate that whole idea about him. Now, as far as things go overall, we do end up seeing him use the Kamen Rider O's form, which is very cool. So the Kamen Rider O's armor uses a combination of the three forms, which actually lead to like them attacking like the cheetah, the grasshopper, and also the hawk, which is really cool. We also get to see the Watchroid, and we get to see the Taimajin change its face from the standard Geo Taimajin face to the O's form, and then also the Tajador form, which is the form that allows flight, which is really cool. I think that they really did a good job with incorporating different elements. Also, the one that actually gave Don Corito the O's, the other armor, another rider O's form was Wool again. Wool seems to be a lot of times the one that does it, so that is something to note. And we learn a little bit more about the history behind him, and basically in the end they managed to get the O's armor, which is really cool. Now, moving into episode 11, which I thought was another really cool episode. This episode is called Geo on Parade. On Parade. And this episode overall was actually pretty interesting. It starts off this time in the future and then goes to the past, which is kind of different because typically they tend to just keep things going in a consistent motion rather than going back and forth, which is what this episode did. But I did like it overall. And I thought it was a really nice episode that they decided to incorporate. as far as things go with this episode, the episode title, after finishing the transformation, right, the on parade part of the episode has to do with when when we see the the Gaiam armor being used by in Kamen Rider Gaiam, so the on parade is part of it. And just in general, it was really smart. We got to see some guest cast appearances from Kota Kazuraba and Kaito Kuman, which is Kamen Rider Baron and Kamen Rider Gaiam. Baron actually gets some real focus. Gaiam doesn't get too much in this episode. What we do see in this episode is that initially, Gio has the Gaiam armor already, and he actually ends up fighting against another rider, Gaiam. So that's actually very cool to see. But then they go back in time a few days, and what we do end up seeing is that eventually they end up finding out about another rider, Gaiam. And the thing is that Sugo knows about another rider, Gaiam, and he knows about Gaiam in general, and yet it's confusing as to why he knows, and it's like, why would he know this? And yet, for some reason, he does. And there's this constant motion where he keeps on running in and out of the clock shop. There's also a point in this episode where Woz comes into the clock shop and actually gives Sugo's uncle an actual clock to repair, which makes him very happy. So that is something to note as well. But eventually what they do end up uncovering is who the another rider Gaiam is. They learn about the Helheim, and we also learn about who is the villain for the episode, which is this character that wanted power and was kicked out of Team Baron back in 2013, but then he gained power from I think it was Schwartz. Schwartz gave him the power. Also, Gaze initially decides to run off and separate from Gio because he doesn't want to deal with him anymore. But things start pulling him back towards him. So that's something to note as well. What we do end up seeing as well is that... what else happens in this episode? Eventually the two... Geos appear before each other. We see them both as humans, and we see them both in rider forms. Like, we see one of them as just standard Geo, and one of them as Geo with the O's armor, which is very cool. And they do get to fight the another rider, Gaiam. And just in general, they're very confused as to how there are two of them. And, the episode was pretty cool. We do see that Gaze at one point actually gets stuck in Helheim with Kaito, the team, Kamen Rider Baron, which is very cool. Secondary riders. I like the fact that we're actually getting a lot of secondary riders featured in these, just because what it shows is that they're not just focusing on the primary ones, but like they typically did in Kamen Rider Decade, where they typically just brought back the main rider. I like that. I think it's really good that they're kind of using a mix here. As far as things go in general, it's going to be interesting to see how the next episode will work out with two Sugos, and whether or not the two Sugo thing will be an ongoing thing, or how that will all work, why there are two Sugos, etc. Again, we really don't know exactly why and what led to this one coming out now versus him coming out any episode prior. Like, why is he showing up in episode 11 and he didn't show up in episode 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing so far that tells us exactly as to why he's showing up now. So I'm looking forward to finding out that. The preview does look like we will be seeing the continuation of this story. They'll use the Gaiam armor, which I think the Gaiam armor looks awesome. Looking forward to seeing more battling from another rider, Gaiam. And things are looking pretty good overall. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where the story will progress to. And, we have another rider, with Gaiam, they have a lot of seasons covered now. I mean, they have Geo build, X-Aid, they have Ghost, technically. They have Drive. They have Gaiam, they have Wizard, they have Forze, they have O's. They have all. I mean, they have all of those riders right in a row. They still don't have W, and they're still missing a bunch of other ones. But it's pretty interesting just to think that they are already getting so many. As far as things go with episode 12 will continue as I said before. But then episode 13, I think, is supposed to be an episode that's going to feature. I believe it's supposed to feature Ghost and possibly Spectre, which would be very cool. Ghost, I know for sure. And that's going to be interesting to see because they already have the Ghost Ride Watch, but we'll finally get to see Geo using the Ghost Ride Watch. And also, I've already seen images of what another rider Ghost looks like, and he looks pretty cool. He definitely looks pretty cool. So it should be very cool to see all that. We also have learned about how the Decade Ride Watch will work, in the fact that it's supposed to work as a mechanism to activate all past riders' final forms, which is super cool. So they're going to have forms like the Grateful Damashi for Ghost. They're going to have the, all sorts of different forms. They're going to have the build one as well, like Muteki, and they're going to have a bunch of other ones that are really significant from each of the different riders, which is going to be very, very cool to see them in the show. And I can't wait to see the abilities come out in the show as well. Eventually, there's also some plans very soon into the future, like maybe in the 20s, I would say, that they'll finally start having Geo fighting against Oma Geo. And there's been other rumors about other rider forms and stuff like that, and they've already just recently shown off what the in-show version will look like for Kamen Rider Geo with Agato. No, with I believe it's Agato armor, which is very cool. So leave your comments below and let me know your opinions about this. I know this video was fairly short. It's just because I was trying to catch up. Episode 12 should hopefully be much longer in length with how much I'm talking about. But I just wanted to just kind of catch up and use this episode as a way to bring people up to speed on what's new, what's been going on in the shows. Again, I'm now going to be able to start releasing videos again. So I know this video was short, but it will be longer in the future. I should also be doing the Loopat video, which will cover the last 2 episodes of Loopat, which I've missed. So that will be good. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing those episodes just so that I know that I'm caught up. And again, we're really close to being done with that show, and actually they've already confirmed, like, in a few weeks they're already going to be releasing images of the next of Rio Soldier, which I'm super excited about. I can't wait to see what Rio Soldier is going to be all about. So yeah. And as far as things go, the next 2 that I have to do are episodes 39 and 40. So leave your comments below and let me know your opinions about all this, and I'll see you guys then. So bye-bye, guys.